UNC Pembroke here in Augusta, and it is senior day here in Augusta. And before we get started, let's take a look at some scores from around the league. We'll take a look at what transpired last night, as well as what will transpire here today around the Peach Belt Conference. In last night's action, the Jaguars defeated the Patriots of Francis Marion in 4 sets, 3 sets to 1. The Pacers of USC Aiken defeated the Flagler Saints also in 4 sets. And Georgia College, who swept the Jaguars here at the Chris earlier this year, sweeping the same Braves team of USC Pembroke last night, 3 sets to 0. And now UNC Pembroke, going into today's game, will take on the Jaguars in the first game today, beginning at noon Eastern Time, just around the corner. And then beginning at 2 o'clock in the evening here today, the Georgia College will take on Francis Marion. Coming off of their sweep against the Braves, they'll take on the Patriots. And Lander taking on the Flagler Saints. And later today at 5 p.m., this same Braves team will travel across the border and take on the Pacers of USC Aiken in what will be a doubleheader for them here today. 3 games in 2 days. And with the Jaguars trying to catch the Pacers in the standings for a regular season title, Jaguars look to take care of business here today and anger the Braves just enough that they can take it out on the Pacers. It's a long shot, but that's definitely their mindset here. So when the Braves take on the Pacers, they can take it out on them and make it a little closer for the Jaguars, who need a little outside help before the end of the regular season. The Jaguars take on the Pacers in 6 days from now over in Aiken, and what a huge showdown that will be. And let's also make note, as that wraps up the volleyball games, what's going to happen today. But in basketball, the AU men's basketball last night traveled to Columbia, South Carolina for an exhibition game against the Gamecocks, a team that was in the Final Four just 2 seasons ago, and pulled off the upset 77-72 over the Gamecocks in an exhibition game, Blake. This is going to be an exciting year for the men's basketball team. They have a good amount of players coming back that are going to make huge impacts for them this season. And they were trailing by 72-71, with 37 seconds left. Went on a 6-0 run to close out the game and pull off the upset.
A phenomenal, exciting, and enticing victory to start off the season in what looks to be a prominent and promising season for Augusta University as far as men's basketball goes. You had Dean Williams, who played 35 minutes and garnered 17 points, and Aaron Bird attributed very well as well with 8 points to his credit. Tyvez comes in with 8 points, and an amalgamation of contributions for the team as well. Listen to this as well. We were talking about before we came on today. The free throw percentage from Augusta to South Carolina. Remember, South Carolina's Division I, Augusta's Division II. And South Carolina in the free throw department only shot at 57%, with Augusta tallying a 70% free throw conversion percentage rate that allows Augusta 16 for 23 and South Carolina 17 for 30. And as you mentioned, that 6-0 run was hugely important last night, and it sets Augusta off very well for their season upcoming, starting at the tail end of this month with the exhibition game, leading into the openers next month as well. We won't get into conference until December, but it starts it very well for the opener for the men's basketball season, with the opener starting next month.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be an exciting year. Dit Mentres has done an outstanding job in his time here with the Jaguars. Dean Williams, Aaron Bird, Tyvez Monroe, our all-star seniors coming back for the team this year as well. They lost T.C. Fields, who was an outstanding player to graduation from a year ago, but a lot of other players back, and like I said, can't wait for the season.
Well, and it also shows you the crucial efforts and the hard work that head coach Dit Mentres has put in recruitment, and to bring it back on home into volleyball, the same has been warranted to head coach Sharon Quarles for the Jags recruiting this amazing class of seniors here on the volleyball court, as well as the juniors and the sophomores and some of the freshmen on the volleyball court as well. Great recruiting starting it off, but for the overall family of the Jags on the court, a lot of it has to do with the chemistry and the leadership of these 4 to 5 seniors that are really bringing every aspect of the Jags game together and sparking a fire and a hunger that the Jags want what they were defeated at last year. They want that regional championship and they want the national championship. So they're fighting with everything they've got to get to where they were last year and beyond. And you can tell with everything cooking on all cylinders and firing like they're playing on their last game every single game out. And it's proving to work wonders because not only are they cooking on the front court, the offense, the defense is working together as one. They're also as well working with being able to place phenomenal footwork. Their timings on the jumps are getting better. Their eye movement and deceptive eye work to set up different attack positions and exploit the defensive crevices that they're given to exploit are working well. Savannah Gonzalez is capitalizing very well. So is McKenzie back on the offense. Their transitional setups are extremely well. It's going to prove a great day for the Jags all around with these 4 seniors. It has been a heck of a ride. Thank you so much for playing here at Augusta University and giving us your hearts out on the volleyball court. It will be a phenomenal and emotional send-off today for the seniors.
Absolutely will be. We will take a quick break, and when we come back, we will present to you the Senior Day pregame ceremony, and also we'll bring you the starting lineups and the national anthem as we get closer here to the opening serve here at the Christenberry Fieldhouse. You're watching and listening to the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll be back. Welcome back here to Christenberry Fieldhouse as we're getting closer to the opening serve. I'm Robert Ambrose, joined by Blake Collins. And Blake, any additional thoughts before we get started here?
Yeah, just to go back to the basketball game really quickly, we mentioned that Dean had 17 points on the night, but then you also had phenomenal contributions with 15 points for Rafael Montiero, and then Tyree Myers also with 16 points. So that was a bevy of the workload last night against the Division I South Carolina Gamecocks, and a massive win for Augusta University sports all the way around. So a good showing last night, good showing by the volleyball team, and it looks to continue that phenomenal showing here today on the volleyball court against UNC Pembroke.
We will now pause for the Senior Day festivities, which will be followed by the announcement of the starters and the national anthem here on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Brazilian national anthem in honor of senior Natalia Gouveia for the Jaguars, who was honored as part of the Senior Day festivities just moments ago. And Robert Ambrose joined by Blake Collins as we get closer to the opening serve. Blake, last chance for some thoughts going into this one.
It's gonna be an emotional send-off for a lot of the seniors, and you couldn't have asked for a better tandem of leadership to lead this team in terms of student athletes than these four seniors. And you'll see a lot of what Augusta has worked on all season long with phenomenal footwork, working as a unit on offense and defense. We'll talk about a little bit more in depth about a defensive to offensive mindset as the game progresses. But it's an amazing core group of seniors that is really levitated and elevated this squad to prominence for not only this season but seasons to come. You're looking at a 3 to 4 year greatness scale for this particular squad in years to come with the talent that is here. But that'll buy you wins, but the chemistry aspect of it is phenomenal with the leadership at hand, and it's going to be a great send-off for these four seniors that has been a really pivotal part of the Jack's success for this season, last season, and a couple of seasons before that.
Yes, absolutely. Last year's team didn't have any seniors on their roster, and as a result, they returned most of last year's team, and that's resulted in a lot of success this season. And these seniors have been quite a big part of that. They were a part of last season's success as juniors, and they've just added to that this year. Jaguars lead at 1-0 here early on. Gouveia will serve it. She likes to throw it up high and hit it hard and stand far back with her serves.
Oh, Rachel Hill and Savannah Gonzalez collide for the block there in that brick wall format that we've seen all year long from Augusta in the front court for the first point.
And the first point for the Braves ties it at 1.
Just a touch out of the reach of Blair Bolton on the near side. She had great form going up to block it, but Pembroke killed it a little bit to her right, and it didn't touch the arm, so therefore it was a clear, clean kill by Pembroke to score their first point.
Talk about how emotional this senior day is. It is the second to last home game this season for the Jaguars. They take on Queens College here at the Chris on Tuesday night, beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll have all the action for you here on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube for that game as well. And after that, the Jaguars will travel next weekend to take on the Pacers of USC Aiken across the border, and then go to Lander on Saturday in Greenwood. And then we'll return to Greenwood we'll likely return to Greenwood after that the following weekend for the conference tournament, as Lander will be the host school.
Seeing great heart displayed by Augusta, diving for digs, having body control in those dives to direct the digs once they dig it out to get it back into teammates to even have a more contentious defense, and it paid off for him there.
And the 3 straight points for the Jaguars makes it 4-1. Jaguars trying to get on a roll and keep it going as they did yesterday in set 3, where they absolutely dominated the Patriots. And that was what turned out to be really the difference in the 4-set match.
Well, defense has been an anchor all season long for the Jags, and it turns into another stout defensive performance. First with the dig by Mackenzie Beck, then the blocking ability of Blair Bolton up front to capitalize on the Jags' 5th point. But then as you see right there, Robert, the Braves just inch their way through that brick wall right there. It doesn't happen often, but they convert on their second point with that particular play.
And now it's 6-2 Jaguars.
Sharik Brian Garmes has a phenomenal serve, and you see it right there.
And another point for the Jaguars, and they are on a roll here to start this one. Very early, though.
Savannah Gonzalez has had 3 opportunities thus far. Once she was blocked in the front court on the far side. That time, the defense did not time the jump really well, and she blistered it through the defense in the center of the volleyball court for the 7th point to tack on for the Jags.
The Braves had all sorts of time to hit it over, and now the Jaguars trying to respond doing the same thing. And they get the point.
First, Chloe Allen with beautiful defense, digging that out, passing it over to Sharik Brian Garmos, who then sets her up. Does Chloe Allen as well for the strong finish. So overall, that play was beautifully done by Chloe Allen to not only secure the point, but to have the first saving dig of that last possession. Phenomenal play for Chloe Allen.
It's now 8-3.
You like to see kind of that swing out that the Jags do from coming in the middle, swinging out to the near side here. It's almost like a tailback goes on a sweep pass or a halfback toss in football, where they come around, but then they redirect it to the opposite side, confusing the defense. Did the Jags right there, and they pierced through the Brave defense to tack on their 9th point. A phenomenal play to deceive the defense.
Jaguars love cross-court kills. There's no question about that.
Absolutely.
And the defense, it's one of those things, it's on one side, so the defense thinks it's going to go to that side, and they're able to hit it to the complete other side where there's nobody for the point, and there's really no time for the defense to react. And the Jaguars did that very well last night against Francis Marion. Trying to do the same thing again here.
You can tell the seniors are amped up as the Braves capitalize on their 4th point there, but you can tell the seniors are amped up because they have a little bit of extra mustard on their kills today, with a little bit extra force and a little bit extra velocity behind it to really devastate the Pembroke defense. But as quick as we say that, though, the front court stands tall for the Braves, and they took a rocket shot there and shot it back over into Jags territory where they couldn't recover.
Did they ever? And you see the Jaguars love to have 3 up on the net, and their front court is really good, but the Braves get it by them. It wasn't a hit high over their heads. It was just hit in the gap really hard, and there was no time to react.
Well, with fastballs or fast kills in volleyball, as we bring in a little bit of a baseball kind of a comparison here, you have to have tremendous closing speed to react well to these laser-like kills that are being performed on the volleyball court. And if you're a split second late rather on the reaction, that's a pivotal mistake that could cost you not only that point, but consecutive points if you're not careful. And that's where a lot of the velocity and directional velocity comes from with the Jags, and they're executing it flawlessly to the point that Pembroke, if they're not squared up with the volleyball in the direct path of the ball, they're having a little bit of a delayed reaction, and that is costing them big time right now.
And it costs them again here as the Jaguars get the point. It's 12-7. It was just hard hit. And then, like I said, no time, and like you said as well, no time to react.
Yeah, and that time Anna Hines had her weight shifted over to the left, and she could not shift it back over to the right off of that fierce kill by the Jags. And the Jags are rolling right now. Although the Braves are only behind by 4, it's still a very contentious set right now. But the Jags are playing their volleyball game, and they're kind of making the Braves, who are seeking their first conference win today, they're making the Braves play their style of volleyball game, and that spells disaster as we migrate further on into the volleyball game when we get to more dire and crucial sets and points.
Say we're getting close to that already here in set 1. But the Braves are battling back, only down 2, 12-10.
Good front court presence right there from the Braves. And then the defense was ready to pounce on anything that got back on their side of the court. But on that particular play, the offense for the Braves, just too much for the defense for the Jags. In rotations, when that happens, what you just saw there, when you concentrate so much on the front court and you only leave one behind in the back court, that leaves so much room for the libero or the defensive setter to cover back there that if it's not in a close proximity, it's hard to reach that particular dig or that diving dig out, and that's what Holland tried to do to the best of her ability, but just too much space for the Braves to pinpoint inaccuracy to convert on their 12th point, and then they come back there with a miscue from Augusta to score their 13th.
And now the Braves, on some sort of run here, have the lead. After the Jaguars got off to a hot start, it's 13-12 UNC Pembroke. And that goes out of bounds, and the Jaguars get the point and tie it here at 13.
That was a pretty good idea there by Akia Jones, but one thing, she placed it and she shoved it over in a place where there were multiple Jag defenders and not much area of court for the ball to land in. It stepped out of play where it landed.
Jaguars set up their attack absolutely perfectly there. They're in the position and perfect team passing, and they take the lead.
Yeah, great balance throughout. You saw that, and not only that, but the height of the setups was perfect for Blair Bolton to bring home the kill and put the finality on that point for the Jags. So not only great setups, but great setups in terms of height to get the maximum amount of impact on the kill.
Tied at 14, and a service error gives a free point to the Jaguars. They're back up 15-14. A little substitution. Jessica Kedrick will take a seat. Chloe Allen will re-enter, and the libero Holland Martin will serve it for the Jaguars. Braves looking for their first win in conference play this season. They won 8 games out of conference, but it's been rough going in conference so far for them. The Jaguars do not want to be that first team, as you might imagine. And a beautiful front court play. There was no getting it by Savannah Gonzalez. And the Jaguars back up 17-14, and the Braves will take their first time out here in the first set. And is it too early to get into closeout phase for the Jaguars for this set?
If they weren't in as much of a fight as they're in right now, then yes. But since they're ahead by 3, and they haven't really necessarily put the Braves away yet in this first set, then no, you're still in the nitty-gritty. You're still in the grit mode, and you're still in every point matters to this point. So you know the Braves are going to come with their A game because they can smell a comeback.
Yes.
They can smell a comeback right now, and they're going to play. They're looking to play the sharpest they played this game to execute that comeback. So from the Jags' perspective, maybe not just yet. If you see them going with an onslaught and coming with an onslaught, try to withstand that because you know sooner or later they will kind of tire out, and that's when you attack. That's when you strike, and just play consistent with your style of volleyball game. And if it winds up being closeout, then it will be. But right now, what you don't want to happen is what just happened and cause physical and mental mistakes on the Jags' behalf and allow the Braves to come back in to this affair without draining much energy on the Braves side.
Jaguars would want to drain the energy out of the Braves.
Absolutely.
They lead at 18-15, a beautiful spike there. Brian Garmos will serve it for the Jaguars. And that's a Jaguar point, 19-15. The Jaguars swept the Braves earlier this season in the road trip to Pembroke back on September the 28th. And they followed that up with a 4-set victory over the Patriots the following day. The Jaguars beating the Patriots again last night in 4 sets here at the Chris. 19-16, they're up here in the first set.
That time the Braves froze Natalia Gouveia dead in her tracks in the backcourt. She was ready to defend, but she could not move to the area where the ball was, and they capitalized beautifully, but then come right back. And we're getting into the area now where the Jags are very much willing to trade point for point, because right now the Braves would have to score 8 points to capture the set, and the Jags would only have to score 5.
Now they have to score 4 as they get another point. 21-16, inching closer here in set 1. Jaguars, they tip it up in the air with the net defense, and Brian Garmos does her no-look tap over, which she did so successfully on several occasions last night. But this time the Braves were ready for it. It kind of reminds you of a left-handed pickoff throw in baseball when they look away.
Absolutely. We saw a phenomenal sliding dig there by Casey O'Quinn for the Braves. That set the Braves up beautifully to attack and kill, but they could not muster up the defense to counteract the Jags' offense after that, and the Jags come away with their 22nd point.
23-16 Jaguars. Timeout taken by the Braves. That's their last here in this first set. And now it's officially closeout phase for the Jaguars, and now the Braves are basically, they have their backs against the wall here early.
Absolutely. They're looking at trying to score eight consecutive let's see. Yeah, 9 consecutive points rather, to close out this set, and 7 to tie. And for a team that is looking for its first conference win in a really strong Peach Belt Conference showing this year, with half the teams improving from last year, it is going to be an extremely difficult task to rattle off 9 consecutive points with a team that has been this peculiar on the way they play the game, and they don't really allow for many mistakes. So it is going to be interesting to see. They can do it, but it's going to be extremely tough with a team that is playing to their A game and the best of their ability, springing on out against the Jags.
And they have a hitting violation as they get it over to Amber Tyndall, who is trying to guard the net but mishandled that, and that makes it set point for the Jaguars. They lead at 24-16. Gonzalez serves it over. And that goes by Holland Martin, who reached for that one just out of her reach. It's 24-17.
And the thing that made that kill so interesting is Holland Martin saw where that kill was going to go. And the Braves took that and drove the ball even fiercer on that kill past Martin, who was already in route to get that dig attempt. So an impressive kill by the Braves to allow for their 17th.
And the fierceness is how they were able to get it.
Exactly.
And the Jaguars close out set one here at the Chris. We'll be back in 2 minutes to preview set two on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse. We're set to start set two here. The Jaguars took care of business in set one, and now on to the most important set of the match so far. Set two, as the Jaguars try to go up 2-0 and the Braves try and even things up. I'm Robert Ambrose alongside Blake Collins. This is the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Jaguars will begin the set with seniors Blair Bolton, Mackenzie Beck, and also Jessica Hedrick, Alyssa Frazier, Savannah Gonzalez, and Holland Martin in to begin set two as well for Augusta University. It's a busy weekend of sports in the state of Georgia as the Bulldogs are taking on the Gators in just about 3 hours from now. Game day was in Jacksonville this morning, as I understand it.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be a good game. That's going to very good chance that's going to decide the SEC East this game.
Absolutely, and with Florida's defense definitely improving, it's gonna be a tough game for Georgia coming off an LSU loss that they did not handle that LSU offense really well. So Georgia's defense is gonna have to step up to the plate against the Florida offense, who is okay and who plays really well. They have got a lot of improvements to make, but it's going to be Florida's defense versus Georgia's offense. It's going to be a really fun watch today because that defense is electric. Georgia's offense is phenomenal with both defenses, with both the Georgia D and Florida's offense needing a little bit of work.
Absolutely, and it's also a virtual elimination game for the playoff race as well, in addition to getting that Western Division crown, and who's going to challenge Alabama in Atlanta first weekend of December.
Well,
assuming Alabama is in it.
Right, and unless they have a major catastrophe like Ohio State suffered last year with Iowa, then I do not foresee that happening. But if with the Braves here looking to get into the playoffs, they're looking right now to convert on their first win. So the playoffs is out of the picture for the Braves, but they're trying to secure their first seasonal win here in the Christenberry Fieldhouse against a dominant Jaguar squad.
Jaguars dominated set one for the most part. The Braves hung in there for a little bit, but the Jaguars were the better team, and now here in set two, Jaguars trailing at 3-2 very early. And it's now tied at 3. Brian Garmos will serve it. Bolton, the senior, will take a seat. One of the 4 seniors honored before this game. Jaguars take the lead 4-3.
Yeah, that was, as we talked about a little bit last night, that was directionally hit to the lower part across the net. And directionally, that makes it tough for a dig out because you have to kind of get your arms and your dig in a position to elevate it straight up and not elevate it forward. And if you elevate it forward in that direction, it runs into the net, and the Braves could not counteract that when it did hit the net and get the second chance dig out of it.
And that one is a no-look tap over, landing in the middle of the Jaguars team circle. Makes it 5-4 in favor of the Jaguars. That was the Braves get the point. And the point for the Braves makes it 6-4. See if the Jaguars can respond here early. Some very early set 2 adversity. And a diving attempt by the Braves libero. I believe that is Anna Hines.
Yeah, and Savannah Gonzalez mixing it up very well. She acted like she was going to go with a hard kill, and she touched it over beautifully with a soft touch in between 2 gallivanting defenders for the Braves trying to connect on a diving dig.
And the Jaguars won that battle, and they lead at 7-5.
A little bit of miscommunication there between the libero and the defensive setter for the Braves, but it doesn't matter as the exchange over, the Jags could not corral it. So a break there for the Braves, only trailing by 1 here. This is the tight second set, and the Braves are looking really strong coming out of the gate.
point goes to the Jaguars on a little bit of a run here, right when I said they need to respond to a little adversity. So far, so good. They've done basically exactly that. It's 8-6.
Yeah, when Chloe Allen set to jump up, she had that position on the court scouted very well, and she knew where she wanted to go before she even jumped up to make the kill. And the Braves could not scout that before she killed it, and the reaction time was too slow for them to even try to converge on the kill, and thus the point awarded to the Jags.
9-6 Jags, and a service error makes it 9-7. Hit a little hard, all the way across court, goes out of bounds.
Just a wee tad bit too strong right there. She had the great idea of trying to expose the backcourt, but just sailed it a little too far long.
No look tap over goes right to Brian Garmos, who hits it up in the air, and they get it to Beck. And she hits that one hard, and somehow the Braves save it and get it back over.
Now they've got to recollect themselves on defense, but that's where it hurts you. When you have a spring like that, to get back and reset on defense without the opposing squad trying to attack that miscue on defense with trying to get reset, it doesn't happen often to where the opposing offense won't try to attack that, and that's where it came back to bite. The Braves was trying to get repositioned and reset back in their defense, and the Jags in perfect position to exploit it.
Jaguars up 11-7 on that previous point. It went to Jessica Hedrick for the jump-up kill.
And one more point on that last play, too. Sharik Brian Garmos, we talked about she was clutch last night. She can do pretty much everything. She rose to the occasion, shot up from the defensive center position all the way to the front court to make a dig out to save that last point for the Jags. She has been pivotal all year long, and she continues to do so here today.
And she's only a junior, so the Jaguars will look forward to having her back next year as well. We saw Hedrick get another outstanding kill that time. And on the last one, it came right after the Braves hit it back on a almost hard hit kill by Mackenzie Beck. She hit it hard, and once they got it to her, you knew she was going to go for the kill, and the Braves battled it right back over, and Jessica Hedrick then spiked it down.
Yeah, and we all the time talk about switching it up from soft touch overs to hard kills. What that does is, it's also a change of strategy, but what it does is it throws the defense off and discombobulates them so much to where they can't get set in a set base to defend what's coming next. So if you mix up a soft kill, rather, and have them come up in the front court to get it, and then go back strong with a hard kill, they're flat on their feet and they're not in attack-ready position on defense to dig out that defensive play when you switch it up like that. And that's where Augusta has been phenomenal in trying to mix up their attack ranges, and it's been throwing the Braves off kilter.
And we see that again here as Beck taps it right over to a teammate, and hard hit ball, nothing the Braves can do about it. So that makes it 13-7. Jaguars trying to go up 2-0 in this best-of-5 match. Alyssa Frazier, hard hit ball, but a beautiful block on the Braves side, resulting in one of their points. Makes it 13-8.
It is so darn difficult to try to squeeze a ball through a brick wall block like that. It is almost impossible to do. You can get it done, but with a brick wall format like that,
Hedrick with another kill.
Extremely difficult to do.
Using her 6'2" height to just hit it straight down. Ovea will serve it.
And that comes all the way around back to full circle with the timing. On the blocks, it's not only the execution of the form going up, but it's also the timing of the jumps that is crucial to get the maximum amount of hand-on-ball ratio when it's hit into your side of the court to be able to block it back onto their side of the court. So it's not only the form on the block, but it's the timing of the jump as well in the blocks that is crucial. and the Jags did it beautifully right there.
15-8. And an outstanding job by the Jaguars to react and tap it over. Unfortunately, it just went out of bounds.
Savannah wanted to try to dig that out higher than what she did. She didn't get as much arm on it as she wanted to. It turned out well because Holland Martin did like a matrix maneuver to try to serve that ball over. She kind of fisted it over, and it worked to get it back on their side, but it just went out of play.
Gouveia hits it over on the serve. And it's a point for the Braves. You notice Gouveia likes to also take her time before serving to get herself ready to hit the ball, and that really decreases the chance of a service error, which helps.
Not only that, but it's a good opportunity for her to scout openings and see what direction she wants to attack the opposing defense with that serve.
Keeps her eye out on the field and can audible to a better play.
And Holland Martin this season has been phenomenal on defense. The libero has been diving every which way on the volleyball court to save points and put her own body on the line for these points, and she has been phenomenally clutch on defense. Her, along with Garmos and Gouveia, have anchored down the defense to where it is very difficult for opposing defenses to even touch through the backcourt of the Jags.
(17-10) Jaguars. Holland Martin serves it. Two-handed tap up by Gouveia. The Jaguars hit it over, but not able to get it by the front court of the Braves that time. So it's 18-10. Martin will serve it for the Jaguars.
You can put as much force behind a kill as you want to, but if you've got someone standing on the opposite side squaring you up and squaring that kill up, it is hard to penetrate it, and the Braves denied the Jags that point on the last play.
19-10. Augusta with the lead, a timeout for the Braves. Here as they trail by 9, and they have their backs against the wall just like they did in set 1. And now, once again, Jaguars move into closeout mode here as they're inching closer to a 2-0 match lead.
Yeah, and you would like to see a little bit more fire from Pembroke in terms of footwork and trying to set up different attack points. When they've had openings, they have done really well in penetrating and capitalizing on those particular openings to create the points, but they just haven't been able to throw the Jags defense off of their defensive alignment and defensive base and their game well enough to hang toe-to-toe with the Jags, and look for them to try to utilize different things like we talked about to try to get the Braves back into the game.
And you see there is the Braves, they try to move the ball up to the front court for the attack, but not such a wise idea against the Jaguars front court there.
The Jags front court is as stout as it has been this year, as it has been in years past, and with this type of front court, mixing it up is the best way to attack the front court, and with powerful kills like that consecutively, trying to draw the defense out of alignment, it doesn't work half the time against a stout front court like the Jags have.
Jaguars get another point, so it's 21-11. Jaguars move on the attack, and Gonzalez floats it over the defense. How about that?
A lot of scouting went into it. She knew that there was an opening there, and she knew that there was enough space between that opening and the libero for the Braves to just shoot it on through. And the Braves defense, the libero, did not have enough time to try to get under that ball.
And Holland Martin misread that one. Went one way, the ball went the other. 22-13.
Sometimes that happens. You just don't want to have consecutive plays like that where a miscue could cost you consecutive points and allow the Braves to get on a run.
And that's a spike by Mackenzie Beck, and it's 23-13. Jaguars are 2 points away from a 2-0 lead in this best-of-5 match. Savannah Gonzalez will serve it. Gouveia takes a seat. Melissa Frazier is back in. Melissa Frazier, she's going to make her homecoming trip on next Friday when the Jaguars go to Aiken. She's a graduate of Aiken High School. The Jaguars get another point, and it's set point here, 24-13 they lead. And Gonzalez serves it. And the Braves are unable to get it over the net. And the Jaguars win set 2 and lead this match 2-0 here on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube at Christenberry Fieldhouse. We will be back in 2 minutes to preview set 3 here in this one. We'll be back. Welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse. The Jaguars have a 2-0 lead after winning sets 1 and 2. Here in this one, we are set to begin set 3 between the Jaguars and the Braves of UNC Pembroke. I'm Robert Ambrose, and I'm going to turn it over to Blake Collins to give you play-by-play the rest of the way. Blake, take it away.
Thank you, Robert. And the Jags lift off to a phenomenal start here. 2-0 on the set tally in this matchup between the Braves and the Jags, with the Braves looking to obtain their first conference win on the season. It's getting very late for them to do that with only a couple of weeks left in the season, but they have got to be able to orchestrate strategies to be able to fight off this onslaught that the Jags are placing on the Braves in terms of creating points and being able to shoot out to these phenomenal leads and runs that the Jags have been executing. And now, with the Braves in dire straits, down 2-0, you would look for them, hopefully, Robert, here to try to jump out to a sizable lead if they can.
Well, they've been able to do that in each of the first 2 sets, and they'll try to do that here in the closeout set. And usually they're pretty hard to stop when they're able to do that, as the Braves have found out the hard way in each of the first 2 sets, and the Patriots of Francis Marion found out the hard way in set 3 last night.
Braves are going to have a tough task with Gouveia serving, and then Bolton to counter on the front court, killing it over. They do initially, the Braves do stifle that kill attempt, but on the rebound after that, trying to dig that out was tumultuous, and the Jags score the first point off of that dig attempt that went nowhere. And now the Braves come back with a huge kill by Shannon Skird, and the Braves cannot capitalize, as it's 2 consecutive points now for the Jags. We talk about now, I believe Shannon Skrid is coming back to serve for the Braves. And Robert, they're down and trailing by 1, but they are certainly not out of this set by a long shot.
Absolutely not. There's no game clock in volleyball.
And with that being said, the Jags take the point home to capture their 3rd point off of a kill that deflects off the front court for the Patriots. And you can tell right now, Robert, that the Braves defense is just off kilter, and they're having to react, so much so that they're out of whack on defense, and the Jags are capitalizing to the fullest extent and elevating their point total to where it's almost insurmountable.
Well, the Jags are a team that'll take points any way you can get them, so if you give them any freebies, it's going to be hard to overcome.
Braves are back in the game as they're only down by 2. Gouveia back over to Beck, who shoots it cross court back to Savannah Gonzalez, who kills it just inside the out of bounds line in a tremendous kill from Savannah Gonzalez. Elevates the point total now to 5 for the Jags, and in control by 3. Garmo sets it up wonderfully for Beck, who was stopped at the point of attack by the front court for the Braves. And then as they do that on the next exchange over into Braves territory, the defense at the whack there tried to maintain possession, but deflections that went awry calls for the 6th and ultimately now the 7th point for the Jags to be on the board. Now Sharik Brian Garmos set to serve. Libero digs it out very well for the Braves. And then Savannah Gonzalez on the far side tacks on the Jags' 8th point as their lead has spread out to a 6-point advantage. And the Braves, Robert, take a timeout early.
Yeah, they do, and they have to, and that's one of the things the Jaguars did well yesterday is they forced the opposition to use their timeouts early, so not only are they in a predicament in terms of having a tough hill to climb, but they're going to have to do it with minimal amount of timeouts left as they're forced to use one early, and that's one of the advantages of a hot start for the Jaguars in getting off to one.
You've got a tremendously led Jaguar squad, not only by their head coach, but as we talked about earlier, the leadership from a lot of the seniors here keep the Jags grounded, keep them hungry, keep them pursuing something that they tremendously want in an area to where in the regional playoffs last year, they did not quite make it to where they wanted to go, but they're hungry in trying to get back to that point and even progress further in the playoffs. But now they've got to take care of the Braves, and Govea with a phenomenal dig out. You could hear the impact on the body of Govea as that dig was dug out, and then Gonzalez on the back end for the Braves, or for the Jags, with the Braves digging it out seemingly out of nowhere in left field there, out of bounds, come back with a crucial dig and a soft kill over that threw the Jags defense off base just enough for the Braves to capitalize on the 3rd point.
And they had to cover a lot of ground to go for those, but they were able to hit it so high up in the air that they gave themselves plenty of time to get it and hit them back over. But at the same time, the Jaguars did everything right on that last play. Just the fact that the Braves were able to get it high in the air to give themselves all sorts of time.
So we've got a couple of substitutions now. Rachel Hill into the ballgame, who serves it up, and she is playing the defensive setter position in rotation right now as Garmos floats it back over into Braves territory. Beck and Bolton combined for the block there. These long plays will get very tiresome for some tiresome legs, but not before the Jags execute a tremendous game plan and find the hole between two Brave defenders to lock in their 10th point in the 3rd set. It is 10-3 with the Braves trailing by 7. Make that trailing by 8 now as the block up front by, it looks like Alyssa Frazier and Mackenzie Beck up front, and then you have Victoria Wade in there as well.
Jaguars get a kill there. There's just no hitting it by that front court.
Yep. I apologize. That is Kim Krutzinger instead of Wade. It looked like it was Victoria Wade, but Krutzinger is now in the game to elevate the Jags front court along with Beck and Chloe Allen. And just a soft float over there from the Jags offensive core allows for the Braves to take a much needed timeout. But with Frazier, Beck, and Krutzinger in the mix up in the front court, and with the backcourt as stable as it's been all game long this particular set, it is going to be a tremendous feat for the Braves to try to anchor a comeback here.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's now close on mode for the Jaguars as they just got 11 more points and they're just on a roll. But it's just really hard to stop this Jaguar team once they got on a roll. When they took it out on the Patriots last night, they dropped set 2 after winning a very close set 1 and come from behind fashion yesterday. And then after dropping set 2, they absolutely caught fire and took it out on the Patriots, and there was just nothing the Patriots can do about it. It was just the way it was.
Right.
And that set the Jaguars up to close it out in set 4. And I think it's a similar situation here, even though the Jaguars are up 2-0. They're on a similar type of roll.
Absolutely. So Frazier takes the seat out, and then Amy Ingalls sees action here on the court for Augusta. And it's just like in any other sport, when you're fresh into the ball game, or matchup, the ball finds you, and Amy Ingalls, fresh out of the gate, has her first test on a diving dig attempt right there, although she could not get to it in time. And Beck again, seeing the defense was back on their heels, comes fast and furious, looking like she was going to kill it over, but with a soft touch instead, and finds their 15th point to cinch in, and it's 15-4. Beck, near side, converges on a kill, and absolutely places the 16th point on the Jag scoreboard. But it's good to see Amy Ingalls, Robert, back in the game as she's been out for a little bit of time here, and to see her get some precious minutes here is absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely, and she's waited almost all year to come in. She's a freshman from Greenbrier High School here in Augusta, and to finally get some playing experience down the stretch of the season is always a thrill. She's a 5'10" freshman, and it's a good spot to come in when you're with a lot on the line late in the season as well.
Absolutely. A kill by the Braves does not come to fruition, as now you get a couple of changes in. Victoria Wade is now in the game, as well as Peyton Murchie, who's back to unleash a serve, and she does so. And the blocking, even though the rotation has fresh legs into the game, is just as stout and just as strong as it was in the first 2 sets. And then to press it on home, the newly cemented freshman into the ball game, or into the matchup rather, Amy Ingalls just pierces through with the 18th point all the way around. Phenomenal effort for the Jags, and you've got, and the impressive part about it is you wait all year long in the case of Amy Ingalls and break through with a point in a fierce battle like this.
Absolutely, coming in trying to close out this match with the Jaguars up 18-5.
And the Braves are battling not only the Jags, but they're battling physical mistakes as well, as this set has been loitered with physical mistakes, as that one sails wide just beyond the out-of-bounds line. And a point there again goes to it's attributed to the Braves, And the Braves have stretched across their 6-point on the contest. It is now 20-6 off a block that is deflected out of bounds on the Braves side. 20-6. We've seen stranger things happen with a comeback, but with the Jags now in not cruise control just yet, but in a situation where they can bring in a lot of fresh legs right now, it's going to get even tougher for the Braves to come back.
It's hard to get tougher than what it already is, but it has been throughout the game. And it gets tougher again there.
As much as you try to fight and try to stretch across points, there's some things in sports games that you don't know the reason why, and that was one right there. She had the perfect form. She had the right form coming down, just the ball hit almost on the shoulder and chest and missed her hand for the Braves in the front court. And just one of those instances where she did everything she could right. It's just she missed the ball, and that is where the Jags capitalized. But they're on a roll right now. It is 22-7 in the third set, and the Jags look very strong going into a critical game and a critical matchup against Queens on Tuesday.
And the reason that matchup is so critical is because it's for NCAA tournament seeding. It's not going to factor into conference tournament seeding, but for NCAA tournament seeding, that's even more important. And of course, getting momentum into the crucial weekend next weekend, where the Jaguars will play 2 road games against the 2 top teams outside of them in the conference, and possibly a conference tournament preview.
Absolutely. Lander is ahead of the Jags in third place only by a game. And then to attribute to that, Aiken's only loss, the Jags will play Aiken first. The only Aiken loss in conference was here at Christenberry Fieldhouse against these Jaguars. And then they go from Aiken right to Lander, who came in the day before and trounced the Jaguars in an excruciating loss, but they rebounded very well and capitalized against Aiken. So it should be a very good final weekend to the regular season for the Jags. And as you mentioned, the seedings for the national and regional seats in a very crucial game Tuesday right here at Christenberry Fieldhouse against Queens. That will be very pivotal. And right now the Jags, 24-9 is your total. They are rocking and rolling all the way to the brick house. And the Jags capitalize and are victorious 25-9 off of a defensive miscue from the Braves. The Braves will travel to USC Aiken in another hard-fought contest later on today at 5 in the last matchup of the evening here in the Peach Belt Conference. But what a victory for the Jags, coming on strong, getting ready for a very tough regional opponent in Queens.
It absolutely is going to be tough, and it's going to be an outstanding game here on Tuesday night. We look forward to it. It's going to be an early start time for a weekday game, Blake. A 6 o'clock Eastern time start time instead of 7.
Right.
We look forward to bringing it all to you. And by the way, if you stay tuned, we might get some players up here for some post-game interviews. We're going to try and get some of the seniors up here for them to talk about what the senior day here means to them.
As many as we can that will come up here. We will be back shortly, not only with the player interviews, but then after that to wrap things up here at Christenberry Fieldhouse with a Jaguars victory intact. Stay tuned, because you don't want to miss some of the interviews if we can get them coming up next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live here at Christenberry Fieldhouse, coming off of an Augusta University win on Senior Day, and we are pleased to have one of the seniors and a pivotal and crucial outside hitter and outside attacker with us here today as well in Savannah Gonzalez. You guys played outstanding today.
Yeah, it was really awesome. We're really proud of the way that this team has come together for just for the second half of the season. It's been really awesome to see everyone grow.
So talk a little bit about the chemistry that you guys have throughout the season, because I know last year wasn't what you guys wanted in terms of winning a championship, but talk about how the chemistry has brought you back hungry to try to capture that and overall play on fire like you guys have all season long.
Yeah. So I think that really the goal of our program has, I think that we've really had some skilled players come in, but the way that you win these volleyball matches, especially in as challenging of a conference and region that we are in, is coming together. And so I think that we just recognized we got gut tested a little bit with our loss against Georgia College, that we need to make some changes. So now it's really awesome to see everyone playing for each other, playing for the growth of the program, and I think that that's really the difference in the way that we've been playing for the second half of the season. So really happy.
And talk about a little bit. Did you guys have a chance to see how Pembroke played beforehand before they came in?
Yes. So this was our second matchup with them, so we did play them at their place, but we also have been watching film and charting because, any chance to play a conference team is a big game. So we've definitely done our research. We had a good idea of what they were going to throw at us, what we needed to control on our side to be able to handle whatever they had, and I think we just went into it really prepared, and that's another big difference maker.
And so with that being said, like we talked about earlier, you've been crucial on the outside hitter standpoint. So from converting on 1,000 kills up to this point, talk just a little bit about how your time here at Augusta University has been and how the relationships you form with your family here on the court have been, and talk a little bit about your experience there.
It's been awesome. It's definitely flown by. Today was just really special to see how united this group of girls is, and 4 years has flown by very, very fast. I'm definitely very, very sad that it's coming to an end, but I'm also really excited to see where we're going to go in the future. And I couldn't have asked for a better program, a better family, a better team to be able to learn from and grow with. It's been an awesome 4 years.
My last question for you is this: a lot of times up here we've talked about the leadership that you guys have with you, Beck, and a lot of other girls. Talk about how that leadership has progressed this team, gotten them ready for the task at hand, and overall have helped this team excel to where they're at right now.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just experience. We have, in our class of seniors, we have some really good experience. Blair and I have been here for 4 years, so we know what to expect from this program and what to expect within our conference and our region. But Nat and Kenzie, as seniors, have come from really amazing JUCO programs, and we had a pretty good season last year, so they also are very experienced. And I think that's been really great, and just kind of laying down for our team what the standards are, what the expectations are, and just kind of designating our plan of attack to move forward into the rest of the season.
So you've got one more game at home this season, versus Queens, in a regional matchup that has been tough all 4 years you've been here.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what you guys are preparing for there.
Well, again, Queens is another big region matchup. Especially going into this end of postseason and just regional play, any regional match is huge. And so, I think what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be watching their film. We're going to be looking at who they've been playing, looking at statistical leaders, things like that, and just really making sure that they won't have any big surprises for us. But, also on the other side of that is just making sure that we really control our side, because I think that's really key, is making sure that we maintain what we can maintain and knowing all that we have to offer as a team, staying together and using that to attack whatever they have.
Well, Ms. Gonzalez, thank you so much for coming on here with us. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
When you guys play with Queens, we will be absolutely enthralled to have it here for you guys. And best of luck on the road trip coming up as well with Aiken and Lander, and then on into the playoffs. We will have one more interview for you here on the Jags Athletic Network, so please stay tuned. It's been Blake Collins with Savannah Gonzalez. Thank you so much again, and congratulations. Yes,
thank you.
Welcome back to Christenberry Fieldhouse. I'm Robert Ambrose here, joined by Blair Bolton, one of the 4 Jaguars seniors. Blair, how's it going today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, excellent. So you had the senior day ceremonies before the game today, and you had also a little cheering section over there with a sign for you.
Yeah.
And you follow that up with a big win today, a sweep over the Braves. What does all that mean to you?
It means everything to me. The cheering section is my entire family, and some of them don't get to see me play that often, so the fact that everybody was here all the time for the entire game was just awesome. And then, like you said, a sweep. It just means the world, being a senior, being able to go out and have my team behind me, and just we love each other, so it was great.
And yesterday you beat the Patriots in 4 sets, and then the sweep today. And a couple of the set victories were pretty lopsided, most notably set 3 yesterday and the closeout set 3 here today. When you go into each set and reset and start over at 0-0, how much of an emphasis do you guys put on to go out and dominate versus just go out and play and see what happens?
That's every set, no matter what happens, every point, even if we're up by 1, down by 1, no matter what, every point it's emphasized that we go out and we dominate, we fight for every ball, no ball hits the floor, and everybody puts their body on the line for it.
So with today, a little earlier start time than normal, a noon start time as opposed to a 2 o'clock start time like you've had for a lot of other Saturdays, the day after a night game, how much differently is the preparation that when you play back-to-back for the second game versus having several days to get ready for an upcoming game on, say, a Friday night, and is any of it easier versus harder?
I mean, it's not really harder or easier. It's just every girl has to go out, they have to get their sleep, they have to eat well. I mean, prep for any game is always that. Just eat well, sleep, and get ready and have your mind in the game for it.
So, look ahead to what you have upcoming. Next weekend, 2 big conference matchups against the Pacers and Lander on the road leading into the conference tournament. But before then, even though you had the senior day ceremony today, you have the final home game of the season tomorrow against Queens College. Just how important is that, and how much are you looking forward to that specifically, being the last home game of the season, even though you had the senior day today?
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it being the last home game. I mean, it's really sad, but we're looking forward to it, as in, even though it's going to be a fight, it's a fight for everything, and we're just all ready to go out and get another big conference or region win.
And how big is that as far as a region win goes, and just for additional confidence and momentum going into a pivotal conference action next weekend?
I mean, it's a big game. Region rankings came out, and we're sitting 3rd right now in region, and if we can get one more region win under our belt, then that just solidifies us a little bit more. So no matter what, it's a big game.
Absolutely. Thank you, Blair, very much. Robert Ambrose, joined by one of the seniors today, Blair Bolton. Blair, thanks for your time. We wish you the best of luck on Tuesday and, of course, next weekend and beyond.
Thank you so much.
This has been a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll be back to wrap it up after this. Save stuff for the wrap-up, so you don't exhaust it all and defeat the purpose.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank seniors Savannah Gonzalez and Blair Bolton for the amazing interviews that you just heard. Now to run you through the rest of the scoreboard and the tallies that have been ensuing while we've been on the air. Robert, take it away.
Thank you, Blake. So the first game of the day is gun final between the Jaguars and the Braves. The Jaguars have swept the match, and going on later today, beginning in just over 30 minutes from now, the Patriots of Francis Marion, who fell in 4 sets here at the Chris last night, traveling to Milledgeville, Georgia to take on Georgia College. And also beginning at 2 o'clock, the Flagler Saints taking on Lander University in other pivotal conference action. And at 5 o'clock in the nightcapper, the Braves will play their 2nd game of their doubleheader and their 3rd game in 2 days as they travel across the border here shortly to take on the Pacers beginning at 5 o'clock. The Pacers are the first place team in conference play and trying to close out a regular season conference title before the Jaguars come calling next Friday in what will be an outstanding game in the Peach Belt Conference next Friday, Blake. And let's also not forget the Jaguars take on Queens College Tuesday night, a 6 o'clock start time. It's a little early start time for a weekday game, but nonetheless, that'll be the final home game of the season for the Jaguars.
Yeah, not only is it a great regional matchup as we suggested during the game, but it's also a great test and a great strong test for what the Jags will be facing in the final 2 games of the season. They took the first game against USC Aiken. They will play them first. Then they migrate down to Lander and look for a little bit of revenge in a game that they were upset in a matchup they were upset here on Friday. So look for those 2 games in the final 2 games of the regular season after the game Tuesday here at Queens, which is going to be a really good test.
Yes, it absolutely will be. Blair Bolton emphasized it just now, what a big test it's going to be, and Queens is a good team, and look forward to that one as well. And when we come back, we will wrap things up here at the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube, and we'll give our final recap of this game. We'll be back. We welcome you back one final time to Chris and Berry Fieldhouse. The Jaguars have swept the UNC Pembroke Braves 3 sets to none and sweep the weekend series, winning both matches and winning 6 out of the 7 sets that they played in this weekend. They defeated Francis Marion in 4 sets last night and sweeping the Braves for the 2nd time this season here today. Here in this one, Robert Ambrose joined by Blake Collins. And Blake, do you have any additional final thoughts?
Just the work that the Jags put in. They brought back a lot of their amazing footwork that you saw during the first stretch of the season. Then they brought back the eye movement as well against the Pembroke squad that was trying for their first conference win. They were a little down on their luck. They played their hearts out, but it was a really good day, an emotional send-off for the seniors. Thank you so much to Savannah Gonzalez, Blair Bolton, Mackenzie Beck, and Natalia Govea for a strong season, a tremendously well-rounded squad, and your leadership has been extremely important to the success of this Jaguars team. And this Jaguars squad will be set for years to come, because right when the season lets off and these players will head off into the real world, they have set the standard for Jaguars volleyball for at least 4 years to come. And it has been a phenomenal ride with Beck, Govea, Savannah Gonzalez, and Blair Bolton, the final 2 of which have spent 4 years here with Augusta trying to build the program to where it is today. So congratulations to all of them, Beck, Govea, Gonzalez, and as well Blair Bolton, for a phenomenal performance today, phenomenal season, and thank you so much for laying your hearts out on this court for the volleyball team, and it sets them up great for Queens coming up on Tuesday.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's going to be a phenomenal matchup Tuesday night. Blake, you're going to be on the call for it,
right?
And
yes,
we're excited about bringing you all the action for that one as well, and also leading into the final conference matchup of the season. So when the Jaguars go to play USC Aiken on Friday next week, USC Aiken will have revenge on their minds for their 1 conference loss here at the Chris 3 weeks ago. The Jaguars will also have revenge on their minds from last season's Senior Day game when USC Aiken visited. Even though the Jaguars didn't have any seniors on last year's roster, it was still the last home game of the season, and the Pacers came from behind after trailing 2 sets to none to win. And this time around when they met, the Jaguars closed it out and completed the sweep in an epic third set.
This team this year is well-rounded. They're set. They have their eyes set on something that they could not anchor in last year, and that was a national championship. They fell a little bit short. They are hungry. They are ferocious, and they are ready to strike. And it is going to be a fierce battle come November 2nd. That Friday, starting off the weekend, it is going to be a phenomenal affair against Aiken.
Yes, it absolutely would be, and we'll look forward to that as well. And also the matchup on November 3rd, the day after, against Lander in Greenwood to wrap up the regular season before the conference tournament begins as well. So once again, the final score from here at Christenberry Fieldhouse, the Jaguars sweep the Braves 3-0. For Blake Collins, I'm Robert Ambrose. This has been a special presentation of the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll see you Tuesday. Good night, everybody.